with hydrophobic properties, especially in the ceramic coating side, if the water behavior changes and it goes to beading or goes from beading to sheeting or whatever else, how do people know, since we're not giving, not making any claims of durability length, how do people know that it's still there and doing its thing?
What's up, guys? The brand new Cerakote Pro Ceramic Coating is out. There's been tons and tons of reviews on this thing, and people seem to really, really love it. I personally have applied it on my wife's car, and the application was extremely easy, super slick, super glossy, so fantastic in my opinion. Now, there have been a couple other videos doing some torture tests to the product. So in today's video, guys, I am sitting down with the president and CEO of Cerakote to address those questions that we may have about the ceramic coating. Obviously, here it is, guys. It's a beautiful package. You get 2 bottles at a industry disruptive price of 60 bucks for the 2-pack. So 30 bucks a bottle. Again, they're calling this disruptive to the whole industry. And the reason for that is they're taking the middleman out. They actually produce their own inorganic polymers. They have this whole $15 million crazy plant that creates these inorganic polymers that go into these products. So there's no middleman. They actually create everything and ship it directly to you, so you're able to save money and get the best value. But another thing that makes this coating disruptive is that they're changing their narrative of ceramic coatings. All the extreme claims of 9H hardness or even 10H hardness, 3-year, 5-year, 7-year, 9 years of protection. All that kind of stuff, and we're going to talk about how those things are actually tested, if they apply to the real world in certain different types of conditions, and just kind of go in depth. Now, they do list their coating as it'll last for 200 washes. Again, that's another thing where it is kind of, it's going to depend on how often you wash your car, where you live, all that kind of good stuff. Obviously, if you wash your car once a week for 200 weeks, that's about 4 years of protection. If you wash your car once a month for 12 months, or sorry, for 200 months, obviously it's not gonna last that long, right? So you have to be realistic. Also, if you live in Arizona and it's out in the desert, hot sun all summer versus me in San Diego where my car is garaged, completely different situation. That's why they don't give you a specific time. They don't wanna let anybody down and promise 9 years or 5 years or 7 years or 3 years or whatever else, and then not have a good experience for the end consumer. Now, one other thing that I've read is after application, this is the applicator pad, right? This is microfiber pads. And with some coatings, when you apply your coating, this area gets saturated with the coating. The next day you come back and this is hard to the touch, right? You can kind of tap on it, it'll be hard. Theirs isn't doing that. And I wasn't able to ask that question in the interview. I totally forgot about it. But at the end of the interview, we stopped recording and I was able to speak to one of the chemists that they have there. And obviously he's a chemist, I'm a detailer, and not the smartest one in the world. So, but the basic gist of it is that the coating is essentially flexible. So it's not clogging all the pores of the fabric and it's still moving with it. So it's not, it's not building up and just kind of clogging everything up where you can feel it. It'll still move with it. And that's actually an important aspect of a coating because with paint, in hot and cold, the paint can expand and contract a little bit, right? So you want that coating to be able to move with it. Otherwise, if it's just a rigid thing and it expands, it could just crack and get brittle, right? So this doesn't get as brittle as some of the other ones. That's how they explained it to me. They actually, obviously he explained it much more technical than that, but that's what I took away from it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the interview. Again, guys, this is a long one, right? A long conversation with the president and CEO of Cerakote. It's about an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes, something like that. So I'm gonna have everything time-stamped for you guys. So if you just kind of go down here to the navigation bar and scroll over that, it'll give you timestamps for different questions that I ask. So if you are short on time and there's a certain question that you were wondering about, go check that out down there. I really do feel that if you have the time, even just put your phone down, put some AirPods in and listen to the interview because you'll get a really good understanding of Cerakote as a brand and also the sort of truths and myths behind ceramic coatings. These guys have been in that industry for a very long time. And anyways, let's go ahead and jump into it.
All right, what's up, everyone? We have the man himself here. This is Brian, the president and CEO of Cerakote, the man behind the new pro coating that was released to the market. Brian, thank you so much for coming on here, man. I know you're not typically on camera, you're not an on-camera guy, but I really appreciate you, joining in on this and kind of clarifying some things with the new coating.
Absolutely, Josh. Thanks for having me. This is a good opportunity to just have a live Q&A and talk about this because it is new and different. So absolutely.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. So just so everyone knows, we have had the pleasure of meeting in the past. About a year ago, I guess it was November of last year, I actually came up to you guys' facilities. When I came up there, it was one of those things where I really didn't know what to expect, right? I thought it was essentially going to be a blending house. And then when I came up there, I was absolutely blown away with like the inorganic polymer plant that you got, next level technology stuff that I was not expecting. So that's why I wanted to hop on here and clarify, because some people brought up questions to me of like, why are they just getting the ceramic coating game now? And I'm like, that's not the case at all. They've been in this a very, very, very long time. So I wanted to, first question or first thing to cover is just if you can give us a little bit of history about Cerakote, how long you guys have actually been in the ceramic technology game.
Right. Great question. So let's go back 20 years. 20 years is a good place to start. That's when Cerakote was really in its infancy. That was really the day or the year that we formed the basis of our business model. And that business model really quickly is 100% reinvestment. So we're a privately held company, just about 200 employees, really a great family atmosphere here, even though we've gotten bigger. We started with just a handful of people. Our business philosophy and investment strategy is, stay private, stay nimble, and reinvest 100% of our profits back into the company every year. And we've done that for the last 20 years. So the reason that we've been able to do some really big things is because we are focused very long term. We're not focused quarterly. We're not owned by a private equity company, so we get to make decisions, and ultimately we answer to our customers. And it takes longer to build something that way, but in the end, it's a better product. So Very
good, very good. And can you touch on? So there's the Cerakote, the consumer-facing products that we deal with as detailers and things like that. But then there's also the powder coating side of the business, and then the Cerakote coating side of the business as well, and where that's used and all that kind of stuff, just to kind of build some knowledge for people to understand how extensive you guys are into this.
Right. So under the NIC umbrella, we have prismatic powders. So you're going to have, I'm guessing, a lot of viewers that have had their wheels powder coated, lift kits, things like that. So prismatic powders is really a great brand. We've got 8,500 powder coating colors. They're produced just in time. And those we ship all over the US and the world. So Prismatic's a great brand. Even though that's not what we're talking about today, it does have a really nice fit in the automotive space. And then you get into Cerakote. Cerakote is where we cut our teeth. Where we cut our teeth in liquid ceramics was really in the shooting, hunting, and outdoor trade market. So if any of your viewers have that crossover into any kind of outdoor sport or hunting, they would probably recognize the Cerakote brand. So about 20 years ago is when we saw an opportunity in that market. It was bluing, black oxide, parkerizing, and that's where we cut our teeth. Cerakote quickly grew into just the go-to finish at not only an OEM level, so when firearms are manufactured, and that's also related accessories, but also in the customizing space. We then evolved into aerospace, coatings for electronics, medical devices, and all of that growth and reinvestment is what led us into building our own continuous reaction inorganic polymer plant, which was a big investment for us, but that was the moment that really set us apart, that we're vertically integrated. We can manufacture our own raw materials. So I hope that gives your viewers an understanding that the automotive side, while it's relatively newer, there's 20 years of history before that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly kind of, because I knew that, right? And when I came up there, I saw the inorganic polymer plant, and that thing is insane, right? And I don't know of any other brand that has that. So that's why I wanted to make sure that that was communicated and make sure that people know that. Like, it's insane. It's really, really cool. So let's see here. First question, I guess, so when I was up there a year ago, right, we talked about this and you kind of explained that you guys actually produce a lot of product for other companies that are in the ceramic coating game. And I asked, why aren't you guys doing that solely, just through your own brand? And what made the decision to go ahead and move forward with that?
So this is a multiple answer question, and I'm going to take my best shot at it, and then I'd love for you to ask some follow-up questions, because
Sure.
when we started producing our own polymers, we were manufacturing our own Cerakote brand, and that's a great business for us, and we have thousands of certified applicators all over the world that apply a spray-on liquid ceramic coating on various parts. Throughout the years, I would say in recent history, we started to manufacture products for other car care companies. And we have some great relationships with some very good companies that I know all of your viewers know, household names that are stand-up companies. I use them in my own garage. And but what we started to see was, one, the need for professional products that were consumer friendly. And the first product that we launched was our trim coat. And trim coat was revolutionary. We could restore faded plastic trim. We could guarantee it for 200 washes. It was not just a typical dressing. And that went from zero, with us not having any brand name recognition in car care, to the #1 selling trim restoration product in the US. And we got such a good response to it that we went right into a headlight product. So the headlight product also went to #1 and is currently the best-selling headlight product in the US. So we were going down a road of these professional grade products, but that were consumer friendly. And that translated into our rapid ceramic paint sealant, which we brought out and is also currently the #1 selling paint sealant in the US right now. The decision to go into the professional coating space was a big decision for us, and I want to tell you that there was a lot of discussion, because we have partnerships with other brands and other companies that we really value, but there is, and as you probably know, there are a lot of blending type operations in the US. Yep. And they have birthed a lot of brands. So ceramic coatings for cars used to be a small group of companies, and now I don't know that anyone knows how many brands there are. There could be 200 brands. And
yeah, easily.
And that in of itself isn't a bad thing, because competition and capitalism is great, because the consumer ultimately benefits. It creates this competition of a better product. And so that's a good thing. Where things were starting to not go so well is the claims of durability in terms of hardness, and, well, I have a 3-year product, so someone else better have a 5-year product, and then a 7-year product, and a 9-year product. And you see brands that are 1 year old offering a product that's supposed to last 9 years. And I know this is a long answer, but ultimately that hurt the detail industry. That as a professional detailer yourself and your viewers, when you tell a customer that you have a product that lasts 9 years and they don't have a good experience with that, that gives ceramic coatings a bad name and ultimately hurts the entire market. And that was the decision point for us entering the market, was we need to produce a product that is best in class and create a benchmark that even the end user could test us to.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And it's true. Can you still hear me? Yeah, okay, perfect. Just want to make sure. So yeah, I remember when ceramic coatings first came out, and people were making pretty lofty claims on you'll never get another scratch kind of a deal. There was a lot of stuff that really went pretty heavy. And I get it on the marketing side. I get marketing's big for promoting a product, but I definitely agree that probably hurt the industry more than anything, because you still get a scratch through a ceramic coating. It's not an impermeable surface. It's stuff still can happen. So
And there's
that does get us. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well, see, there's a little more to it. It's complicated, but there's also the pricing side. So on one hand, the professional detailers, those are the guys that are putting in the work. I'm a car enthusiast. I've been detailing cars since I was a kid, and if you go out and do a full paint correction on a vehicle, I mean, you're wearing your body out. You're the guy putting in the work and the sweat, and then you're being asked to pay $100, $130 for a little bottle of product, and that's a hard pill to swallow. So ultimately what happens is that profit comes out of your pocket. And so with this, it was also, we don't need to sell our product at that price because we're the manufacturer. So we can not only deliver a best-in-class product, but we can deliver it at a really great value. And what we're saying there to the detailers, that doesn't mean you need to reduce your price, because your value is tremendous in the paint correction and the customer service in your facility.
Right.
If anything, it gives them more profit in their pocket, where they're not spending it on chemicals and supplies. So coming out with a $30 bottle is a big statement. It's disruptive, right? And we can't be surprised that there are some folks that aren't too pleased with that, but ultimately it benefits the detailers, and that benefits their business, which ultimately helps the entire industry.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And my next question was, so obviously we'll bring it up real quick. So there was a video that talked not negatively, but they put it through a torture test and it didn't perform. And in the beginning of that, they did talk about the brochure and talking about other brands diluting your product. And in my opinion, right, I don't think you guys are saying that they dilute across the board. Every brand's diluting your product. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's more of a case probably where the raw materials that are getting sent out are being diluted in blending houses and creating a completely different product. Essentially, can you shine a little more light on that?
Right, and we don't even know the extent to which, sometimes we'll sell a product to a customer, and they can turn around and let it down with solvent and resell it again under a different brand name. Now, there's nothing preventing someone from doing that, right? We live in a free market here, so that is not necessarily a problem. The problem comes in when you have a product that's been diluted so many times, and you're making these outlandish performance claims where you tell someone this product lasts 9 years, and again, you go back to how does the end user prove that? They really can't. And when they have a bad experience and it's not holding up in year 2 or whatnot, then it hurts all of us. And they say, yeah, I've heard of that ceramic coating for cars. My buddy tried it, it didn't last, and I don't want to do it. So we had to change the entire narrative that let's stop as an industry making claims that we can't back up. And that's why we went to wash durability. And real quick, just to get into that, we guarantee 200 washes on our product. We did a video showing it being washed 500 consecutive times.
Yes.
I realize washing a car, you're not going to wash a car 500 times consecutively, but what we're doing is we're just creating a benchmark. And so you as a detailer could buy our product, you could put it on a scrap hood, and you could stack it up against what you're currently using and make your own decision. But when I tell you that it lasts 9 years, how do you prove that as a detailer then to go and represent it to your customer? Very, very difficult.
Yep.
Okay, that makes tons of sense. Let's see here. The next question was about the industry really pushing the year ratings. We covered that. Now, so with your product, just because there's always benchmarks that people are used to, right? Just on the consumer end, right? You talk about pH resistance, chemical resistance. They talk about hardness of the coating, and then they talk about the years, because that's kind of what everyone's been trained to do, right? Since coatings have been out, that's kind of where all the marketing's been based. And that's something we talked about last year too, is one of the reasons you don't give a year coating, a year rating, is because it not only is the care of the product a concern, how it's used, or how, like if the car's garaged all the time or outside, or I'm in San Diego, a coating's probably gonna last a lot longer for me than someone that's in some pretty harsh winters, right? Or even the substrate, right? So if it's going on to softer paint, will that affect the longevity of the coating versus if it's going on to a really hard paint already?
Yeah, right. So everything affects it. And just to elaborate on your example, if you take a vehicle that's in Phoenix, Arizona, and you contrast that with a vehicle that's in New Hampshire, and one of them is garaged, one of them's not, one of them's tunnel washed every week, one of them's hand washed, you could quickly, you know, if anybody sits down and takes a common sense approach to this, a 9-year coating in a different environment with different care is going to react totally different. So we just need to be realistic that the way that we're measuring durability is with a pH neutral soap, 500 washes. I'll say one more thing. Since we introduced this product, if you're a professional detailer, we're offering our product to you absolutely for free, including shipping. And we knew that if we didn't do that, there was going to be a lot of skepticism. And so the reason we do that is you basically go to our site, cerakoteceramics.com. There's a very simple form you fill out. We just need to make sure you're in the industry, and I think people in the industry appreciate that. And so we make sure you're in the industry. We send you a free kit, has 2 bottles, shipping's free. Since we introduced this about a month ago or so, we've sent out over $100,000 worth of product free. And that's us putting our money where our mouth is, and we don't plan on stopping for the foreseeable future. And here's the ultimate win-win. We said something disruptive, try our product for free. If you love it, keep buying it. If you love your current product, thank you for your time and keep using your current product. So it's a real win-win. But you know, going back to how do we position it, the second that I say what my number 1 attributes are, those are the things I should test. And being in this industry, the attributes that we have really gathered from thousands of detailers is gloss, slickness, water behavior, durability, ease of application, quickness, of the return to the customer. And so those are the things that we test for, but we don't put, you know, acid and caustic and lighter fluid and gasoline. You know, these torture tests, if that's what your environment is, then certainly test to that. But if that's not your environment, it really is a bit misleading on what the product is doing, because that's not what it's going to be exposed to.
Yeah, correct. And that kind of brings up that one video. So there's been an insane amount of posts on Instagram and on YouTube and people talking about the product, and everyone's raving about like the items you talked about, right? Slickness, ease of use, water hydrophobic properties, and the gloss levels, fantastic. We already talked about that, the torture test. Some people have asked me, and I'm pretty sure I already know the answer, because when I initially did my video on Rapid Ceramic, the paint sealant, right, I had applied it on half of the hood. I poured muscle milk on it. It was a white panel. I poured muscle milk on it to show, because I wanted something that was visible, and it kind of it held it off. And then when I rinsed it and washed it and then came back, it seemed like the water wasn't rejecting it at all anymore. And this is another reason why I have such respect for you guys, is that you reached out to me. You said, hey, this is what, we talked to our chemist, this is what we expect is going on. I retested it. You're 100% correct. You never asked me to take down the video. And I really, really appreciate that. Like, you're just like, hey, let us just show you what we're actually about, right? And what the product actually is. So with that video that did the torture test, people have asked me like, hey, the video's down. Did they ask them to take it down? And
right.
I would assume no, because you guys didn't with me. So
yeah. So to address our first interaction, and this is holistic with a lot of ceramic coatings that would be, you know, the wipe on buff off style in the automotive industry, is you can clog them up if you're a heavy user of soap.
Correct.
you can clog them up. So whether you're using our product or another product, if you do notice some water behavior changing, make sure you've really rinsed that thoroughly, because if you just smear a bunch of soap onto a car, Dawn dish soap or whatever, you can clog it up. So in that case, we saw it and we said, you know what, we bet that's what's happening. And we called you and we said, hey Josh, do you mind washing it, really rinsing it, and we think that's going to unclog it and the properties will come back. You're a stand-up guy. You said, yeah, let me try it. You did. And then we invited you up to show you how we make our product. Really just full access. Just this is who we are. So hopefully that answers your question. I think you also asked me, did we ask someone to pull a video down? No. But what I will say is that when an influencer makes a video, I guess I'm speaking holistically. The internet is a great thing, but it also can really affect people negatively. So when an influencer makes a video, that affects people. We have 200 employees that are affected when somebody says something about our product. And so if something is said that where we can improve, constructive criticism, we love that. That's how we get better. But if something's said that's misleading or there's an agenda, that's something that we do need to address, that whether it's not true or somewhat misleading. And ultimately, I'm going to always refer back to try our product for free. We're giving it away for free, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So just try it. If you love it, keep buying it. So I think we've had so many positive videos and just a couple negative, and those are the ones that we want to make sure there's no financial agenda, because we are disrupting the market. We're selling our ceramic coating direct to detailers for $30. And you have to know, your viewers, that if there are people in the market selling similar products for $130 a bottle, that might upset a few people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that is for sure. Let's see here. So with hydrophobic properties, if you can go into that a little bit more. So is that the same situation where it could essentially just get clogged? That was my assumption. You're using really a bunch of high pH products on it, could be filling that in. With the rapid ceramic, even, man, with the muscle milk, I don't know what is in that stuff. It was really hard to get off. But even like over time, I'd be washing my work van, and I would notice that side of the hood continually came back. The water behavior came back. Like even after I kind of stopped doing my specific trying to wash that off, just over time it started to come back. Probably whatever was on there finally got off, and it really came back. So with hydrophobic properties, especially in the ceramic coating side, if the water behavior changes and it goes to beading or goes from beading to sheeting or whatever else, how do people know? Since we're not not making any claims of durability length, how do people know that it's still there and doing its thing?
So water behavior is a good indicator. The only caveat is that if you start to lose the water behavior that you desire, first make sure that it's rinsed really well, that it's washed and rinsed, and you don't have something on it affecting it. Okay. At that point, what we have to realize is these wipe on, buff off ceramic coatings, they are all generally about 1 to 3 microns. You've been in our R&D lab. We have an electron microscope. We do cross sections. The Cerakote industrial coatings we sell, those are about 1 to 2 thousandths, 1 to 2 mils, and so you could say 25, 40 microns. So the difference between a spray on and a wipe on, buff off is pretty drastic. All coatings are not permanent. I mean, when you look at car paint that's 10 years old or 20 years old, everything degrades. So it is in essence protecting the substrate, what's under it. And performance is really a sliding scale. Let me explain. I'm sure you guys that have taken car detailing to the absolute extreme, right? I mean, extreme. And then you have folks that are more in the middle. They want to see beading and gloss, and that's it. So let's say you're using our product or any coating, and after 2 or 3 years, you may not be happy with some of the aging of the coating. It's not beading like it was day one. You really have a decision right there. Do you put $30 more product on it? Do you use a topper? You know, it depends on your level of expectations out of the coating. Again, what we don't want to say is this product is a 9-year product and you're going to be happy for 9 years, because we're misleading people. So I hope that answered your question, but water behavior is a great indicator as long as you make sure it's rinsed.
Okay, perfect. And even then, so like even going from beading to sheeting, because sheeting's, man, so when we go into tests, I'm guilty of it too, right? Everything, I'm not a chemist, not a scientist, I'm a detailer, and everything that I do, all the tests I do are really anecdotal. It's just from my personal things, and we don't know everything. So that's a really good point. Make sure everything's rinsed off properly. Is it possible for us though to lose the beading and get sheeting instead, which again, may not be the desired result that the person wants. They want it to bead, but sheeting is also a very great thing. It's getting the water off very quickly.
Yeah.
So can that potentially change over time, or is that more still something's probably on the coating versus it actually changing the properties of it?
If you wash your vehicle and you rinse it well and you dry it, you know, you should get the beading that you want. If you don't, and I'll just use myself as an example. I have one vehicle that we use for R&D that I drive through a tunnel wash every week, and we test products, and it's terrible to take it through the tunnel wash, but we want to see how it performs going through that environment.
Yeah.
I have another vehicle that I would never take through a tunnel wash, and I use a Milwaukee electric blower to blow it off. My expectations of a product is that I can wash a vehicle and I can blow it off with my Milwaukee blower very easily. The day that I can't blow it off easily is the day that my expectations haven't been met, and then I'm going to either reapply or maybe use our rapid ceramic top coat. So my expectations are different than your expectations. So the nice thing about being a professional detailer is you create a relationship with your customer, and you know customers that have certain expectations, and that's all we're trying to do here is say, we're going to set a benchmark that you can test, but then you and your customer end up deciding when to reapply.
Sure, and that's another thing too, is with a lot of these coatings, especially the ones where, you know, certified installer, you have your own dedicated space, dedicated area on the map. A lot of those ones, you know, you have the rating, but you have to bring them in annually to get a refresh, and they're probably, you know, it's the same kind of thing. It's probably just adding a topper, adding another coat. I mean, you could be reapplying the same coating every year for 9 years. You know, who knows? So, yeah, I think that covers quite a bit.
I'll jump in there right there. You know, our rapid ceramic paint sealant is incredible. It's a consumer friendly product, right? And the expectations with that are 3 to 6 months. It's a great product for 3 to 6 months. The shine and slickness is incredible. You can dry with water. And if I applied that every time I washed my vehicle, I could make the claim that lasts 10 years. Because as long as I'm reapplying it every time I wash the vehicle, it's going to be there. So if that's the expectation set, then everyone's happy. And so I think, again, it just goes back to the industry as a whole making claims that we can support, and then having real conversations with our customers so that they don't feel like we're misleading them. We need to be realistic that these are 1 to 3 micron coatings that don't last forever, but when they are lasting, they're incredible. I mean, with our product, you can dry the vehicle with water, you can blow it dry with a blower. It's incredible.
Absolutely. And that covers pretty much what I wanted to talk about, like the main points that I really wanted to cover. And now I wanted to jump into, so I made a video. Thank you very much to your team, by the way. I'm in the middle of my 12 Days of Christmas giveaway, and we just gave away a pack of Cerakote stuff. So thank you very much for that. Within that video, I asked people to, send me questions to ask you, especially regarding the new ceramic coating. So if it's okay with you, I'll just run through some of these and touch on those.
Absolutely.
The first one is, I like this one a lot. During development of the pro coating, what were your non-negotiable characteristics that you wanted from the coating?
So the non-negotiables, they were the feedback that we've received from thousands of detailers, and that is gloss, slickness, water behavior, ease of application. So, and I'm going to go off the rails here for 1 second. the technology that we still produce today, and we still can supply, that rainbows and has a certain odor to it, we still have that technology. And if that is what somebody really wants, they should get a hold of us and we can take care of them. The reason that our product doesn't do that is because with that technology, there were some challenges. You know, you got into high spots, curing times, and that was even better than it was in prior years. So
Sure.
That was feedback that we got, that look, we need to make a product that's more forgiving, and there's a certain thought pattern out there that unless it has to, if it's any good, it has to be difficult, and that's just not correct. We can have something that is easier to apply, more forgiving, but also is high performance. So that connection shouldn't be made because it's just not accurate. And then the return time to the customer. You know, a lot of detailers, you know, operating out of small spaces, operating out of mobile, and you can't hang on to someone's car, you know, overnight. So that return to customer same day was really important, you know, just to be able to move product and help revenue.
That's a great point, because for me, my shop's pretty small. Obviously, this is my home garage, but my shop, it's about 1,100 square feet. And I have had a car in there overnight. And then alternatively, when people don't want to leave their car overnight, I will go to their home and do it in their garage. And then I go back the next day to finalize everything. And that adds, you know, on the mobile side, man, I'm paying, gas in California is not cheap at all, aside from just all the extra time. So yeah, having that fast return to customer is incredible.
And it's a great question, because that's what we tasked our R&D department with. You've been in our R&D department. It's the place that we spend the most dollars at NIC, because we have to have an innovation pipeline. We have to be investing in the future. So a lot of these products are things that have been, you know, years in development. These are not easy products to move the needle on. So yeah.
Very good. And just to touch on something you said previously, so the coatings that you made in the past where you supplied others and all that kind of stuff, all those were rainbow, that you never had the sweating on any of those?
Correct. Yeah,
Interesting.
You know,
Okay, cool.
yeah, so the rainbowing, which was, you know, indicative of the product, you know, starting to cure, is, you know, technology that we still have, we still produce. It's still alive and well in a lot of our industrial ceramic coatings. You know, Cerakote, we have distribution and shipping to about 85 countries. We are, you know, again, we started very, very small, and I believe we're in the top 20 largest coating and paint manufacturing companies. But when you visited us, we still have a very small feel to us culturally.
Yeah.
But our products are used in some pretty serious oil and gas, aerospace. So just because it isn't existing in our pro ceramic, that technology is still widely used in our industrial Cerakote.
Got it. And yeah, just to touch on that, of a small feeling company, it's true, man. I really feel like you guys are all family there. It feels like you're a great leader on, you know, kind of the head of the company, where everyone seems to be really, really happy to work there. That was definitely something that I picked up on when I was there, for sure.
Well, I appreciate it. We've got a really unique culture. Cerakote has grown because we take care of our people, and because we're not owned by a large conglomerate, you know, or public company, we answer to our customers. And when you have a direct drive line to your customer, it's really refreshing, because you get to listen to them, and the decision you make can be based on, well, this is going to take us years to get there, but this is what we need to do to satisfy our customers. So that is a good feeling, and I'm glad you picked up on it, because it is real.
Yeah, absolutely. It comes across very, very, like when you enter the doors, and it comes across very, very clear, for sure. Next question. Can you explain what makes slickness in a ceramic coating and what makes shine or gloss? Are there different kind of compounds to that? And does a more durable coating affect the slickness and shine? Like, is it a compromise that you have to work with?
All right. So the first qualification is, I believe in surrounding yourself with people smarter than you. So I am not a chemist.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we have many chemists here, so I will tell you, just when we get into the chemistry, the refractive index is really where you're getting your gloss from. And even though these things are kind of connected, they're not completely connected to each other. The surface interactions is where you get your slickness, and again, those things can affect each other, but they're not completely connected to each other. So we can make, for example, Cerakote, which is Cerakote.com, which is different than CerakoteCeramics.com. You can buy very hard clear coatings on Cerakote.com that are not slick at all. So they're very glossy,
Right.
very hard, not slick. So in developing a wipe on, buff off coating, we had to have those three things. So I guess to really make sure I answer the question, surface interactions and the refractive index are respectively how you get gloss and slickness.
Okay, gotcha. And then do you have to compromise on any of those for the durability?
Everything's a compromise.
Everything. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
In R&D, when you say, just start with, I want to put this on the shelf at a store. Instantly you said, I'm going to compromise the materials I can use. If you say, I want to ship this product in the air, next to air, instantly I compromise the materials I need to use. So everything's a compromise. And so when you look at, I'm going to go back to the torture test just for a second. If you said my number one attribute is resistance to very caustic materials, then we can build coatings, and we have coatings in the industrial space that directly withstand high pH and low pH materials, but you give up other things. Maybe they're not very easy to use. Maybe they're not very slick. So yeah, everything is a compromise. The win is when you can build something that is the right amount of everything that your customer wants.
I mean, for me, that's kind of one of my biggest things. I guess I guess I'm not special in this at all, because it sounds like that's the majority of people. Ease of use, and for me, I like a really, really glossy product. I like it when it looks like there's just a stack of clear sitting on top, and it's just it's super. As opposed to kind of the glow, I prefer that super, super glossy look, and yeah, that's where it's like I've used a coating in the past that I really like because it's easy to use, but it gives me more of that glow versus that super, super wet look. And yeah, just for me, the wet look is where I lean. And I feel like, especially on the professional side, the customer sees that more. I don't know if I want to say more premium, but I think it's a better visual effect for them. They can really see like, oh, you put something on there for sure.
So it's interesting you bring that up, because gloss is something that you can see, right? It's very visible. Slickness is something that you can't see. It's a feel, right? And we find the slickness is more of an emotional satisfaction than anything. So it's, when you give the car back to the customer, what's the first thing they do after they see it?
Yeah, of course, rub the back of their hand on that thing.
They touch it, right?
Yeah.
And it's just something that we don't want to forget, is that your job, our job in the professional detailing space is get the customer what they want. So slickness is important, even though, after they touch it a few times, they're really just looking at it and seeing the wash behavior, water behavior. But we can't forget how important that emotional connection is to the customer touching it. It's very unique.
Yeah, I've used coatings in the past, years ago, and they didn't have that slickness, and they had gloss, but they didn't have the slickness. And it's true that the customer touches it, and it was one of those things where I was always worried, like, oh God, did they think I didn't actually put it on there? Because it doesn't feel slick, it just feels like the paint. So yeah, slickness is definitely very, very essential as well. Here's a question, and I think we probably covered this a little bit, but again, within the industry, hardness ratings. Many coatings are rated at 9H.
Right.
I don't know if that's just purely marketing or what, but do you know like where you guys falls within that, and then how is that tested typically for either yours or all the other brands as well?
Right. Yeah. Good question. So ASTM really is the governing body for a lot of testing, physical testing. So hardness, I believe, in one of your viewers might correct me, it's a D3363, something like that. And that is an ASTM that literally takes sticks of pencil lead of different hardness, and I believe it starts with B and it goes up to about 6H. You can get lead that goes 7H, 8H, 9H. I believe the ASTM only goes up to 6H, and really what it is, it looks like a little metal block with two wheels on it. You put the lead through it and you drag it across your panel, and the product has reached a fail point when that lead hardness will cut or gouge the panel. So
Got it.
what we have to think about here is, again, we've got a 1 to 3 micron coating versus the ASTM test is intended for coatings that have more film thickness. So Cerakote advertises, and if you go on our website, that we have products that range from 7H to 9H. And those are absolutely valid. You can watch live videos of all our testing on Cerakote.com. Again, not to be confused with our automotive site, which is CerakoteCeramics.com.
Yep.
But it's not necessarily the most appropriate test for ceramic coatings for cars. It's not that it's not valid, but it's just not the most appropriate test, because you don't necessarily see customers, and I want to make one clarification. This has nothing to do with rock chips or gravel. There's actually an ASTM test called a gravelometer if you want to test rock chips, a resistance to rock chips. It is a measure of hardness. It's a good test. It's not the first test I go to and saying, is this a good coating for cars?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Oh, one more thing. The paint on your car, a middle of the road to higher end paint on your car is around 2H, give or take. So expectations wise, that's where you're starting. So you can put things on it that are harder, but that's really where automotive paint is today.
Very good. See, and that's something I'm so glad you brought up, because 99.99, 100% of the population doesn't know that, right? And they expect that, you feel your paint, obviously I've dealt with some cars where the paint was softer, and would scratch, but like in general, the paint is a hard surface. So if you're looking at that, and then is it incremental, or is it like an exponential difference from 2H to 3H?
It is really just the difference in that pencil lead hardness.
That's it. Okay. Got it.
If your viewers want to look up that ASTM and watch a YouTube video, they're going to see a very basic looking black square of metal with two weights on it. It's a really simple test.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then some coatings out there advertise 10H. Pure marketing. If there's no test for it, right? You said that they typically it goes to ASTM goes to 6, and then there are 7, 8, 9s. Is there a 10?
There is a 10H.
Oh, okay.
But it's there's some debate with that. So
yeah.
If you read, this is going to get a little nerdy here for a second, but if you read a lot of ASTMs, what it says is ultimately this ASTM is an agreement between the buyer and the seller. Okay, so let me give you an example. We have a QUV machine here that tests UV resistance. And so I can take a automotive painted panel with clear coat, and I can put our product on it or anyone else's product, and I put it in that QUV chamber. And I leave it in there, let's just say I leave it in there for 1,000 hours, right? So where in the United States is that 1,000 hours valid? Is it valid in Seattle,
right,
or is it valid in Miami? And so most of these ASTMs, what they do is create a benchmark that a buyer and seller can both test to and agree that this is what we agree to. So whether it's salt spray for corrosion or UV or hardness, there's not often a translation to real world hours. So 1 hour in UV doesn't necessarily translate to a particular place in the United States. It's still a good test as long as someone realizes that there's not always a good translation.
Sure. I think a lot of on my channel, I review a lot of pressure washers, and that's kind of one of those things. There's the PWMA ratings for PSI and GPM. And they're I mean, you get a pressure washer that's rated at 1800 psi and 2 GPM, and then you get in the real world to get it at 2 GPM, it's down to 1000 psi at that rating. So like it doesn't. Those ratings are great to have, and possibly some sort of a benchmark because they're all tested the same way. But yeah, in the real world, it really doesn't translate perfectly at all.
Right, and that's why if you can create an expectation with a customer and there's an agreement, this is what I'm looking for, well, this is what we have, and there's an agreement, willing buyer, willing seller, and that's, again, going back, not to beat a dead horse, that's why we went to wash durability, because it's something that you can do in your shop, your customer can do, and we're on the same page.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, and then the next question is regarding pH resistance. Is that kind of the same thing, where is there a certain specific test that they run for that? Is that something that translates to real world or no?
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of ASTM tests for chemical resistance, whether it's basic, acidic, whatever. Again, I'm going to go back. Our products do really well in both high pH and low pH environments. But again, when we're designing this product, we're designing it for the attributes that we got from the industry. And the industry is not doing that in real life. In real life, people are
for sure.
They're washing their cars and they want the attributes of gloss, slickness, water behavior, and it's not, hey, we want to cover our car in this highly caustic wheel cleaner, because people don't wash their car with wheel cleaners. It's not realistic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Now, talking about the durability test that you guys did, somebody asked the question, and there's been a little confusion. So the video covers 500 washes, but in your documentation you say 200 washes, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the question was just, how did you guys come up with those numbers? Like, what was the emphasis of going with those numbers?
Yeah, really good question. So, a lot of people wash their car once a week, and the 200 washes was a bit arbitrary, because we said, look, if you wash your car once a week, you can translate that and really see, look, okay, they're guaranteeing it for this many washes. The wash video was really to show that it went much further than that. But again, I'm going to be the first person to say that nobody's going to wash their car 500 times in a row. We realize that.
Right.
It's, if we waited 500 weeks to bring this product out, I think we'd be doing the market a disservice. It just sets a benchmark. So we could have gone past 500 washes, but it gets to be a point of, that's a bit ridiculous. Now, if you look at the guarantee on all of our packaging, you can call us and say, look, I tried your headlight product, I tried your trim product, I don't like it, I want my money back. And we take care of you very quickly. I think we have 40,000 5-star reviews or something like that. The reason our company has such a good reputation is we realize that we're going to put our best product forward, and if you love it, thank you, and if you don't, we want to get you taken care of, so at least we can get you your money back or get you satisfied. We don't want you to have a bad experience, and there are other great car care companies out there, stuff that I use in my own garage. So the products that we bring out are best in class, and that's why we don't bring a lot of products out, is we're not going to bring a product forth until it is the best.
Back to the coating on, well, I guess we're still on the coating, but more so this is talking about, it's a single layer coating, right? You don't need to use a topper, but someone asked, does layering the coating increase the gloss or longevity? And if so, with other coatings that you do have to layer, you have to do it within a certain period of time or whatever else. You were mentioning, like, if you start to see that, hey, after a certain amount of time, you're not getting the water behavior that you wanted, and you can just reapply another coat. Do you need to take that down? Can you apply it over the top of that? One person actually did comment as well, saying that they've been testing it. They did do 2 coats, and they noticed, again, anecdotal for sure, but to them it was glossier even after the second coat.
And they're correct. And here's, just to talk about diminishing returns, versus expectations. So the product's designed to be a single coat, product that doesn't require a topper. If you want to put a second coat on it, you know, do it at the time you're putting the first coat on, meaning put the first coat on,
Okay.
wait the 5 minutes, buff it off, and then go back and apply the second coat. You are absolutely going to see a glossier result. That being said, it's not 2x glossy. And if you put a third coat on, it's not
Sure.
3x glossy. So again, this goes back to, you know, I'm pretty OCD. You know, when I detail my cars, I kind of take it to the extreme. So I'm the kind of guy that would do that, but I also realize that there are diminishing returns. Now, the second question you asked is what happens when, you know, any coating's getting a little bit longer in the tooth and I'm not happy, I can't blow my car off, you know, it's taken a little effort, the water's kind of getting sticky again. So in that case, as long as you don't have any waxes, oils, you know, you've gone over it with a, you know, IPA eraser type product, you can go ahead and put another coat on. Now, if you need to do paint correction and all that stuff, because some, you know, obviously your viewers know all of that, but you will get more gloss if you put a second coat on at the same time you're doing the first coat.
And with the longevity side of it, if you're applying it after a certain amount of time, you want to just make sure you do, you know, use some sort of a panel prep, get the surface prepped that way. Correct if you need to, but say you don't need to correct, and the coating's probably still there. You're just not happy with the result of the hydrophobic property.
Right.
So it will adhere to itself. Yeah, yep, absolutely. Yeah, and it's one of those things too. I've seen other people comment, other detailers, and like for me personally, like I'll put a coating on my car. It could be rated at a 5-year coating or whatever. And honest, for me, again, I'm anal about my cars, right? So a year down the road, I'm doing some sort of polish to it, you know, regardless. So and then wanting to reapply something else or whatever else. So. Yeah, I personally have never gotten to a point where I've needed something to last that amount of time. Now I get it on as the professional giving it to the customer. That's a different thing. And I have a customer that I'm going to be doing, just so everyone, I haven't mentioned anything about this. I'm going to be using the coating. So I did my wife's car recently, but I'm going to be applying it to a customer. The car is being delivered next week, and it is an $800,000 Rolls-Royce Phantom. And I'm gonna put this coating on. I maintain the car every week. I can, you know, and some people may say, oh, you shouldn't do that on that. You know, like, oh, you should go with whatever brand that says 9-year. For me, my personal take on it is, again, you guys have been in the business. I would assume, really in the ceramic technology longer than anybody. Like, I don't know of anybody else that has that plant that you guys have, like the real basis of ceramics that you guys produce. So I have zero hesitation of putting on a vehicle of that value. The product was super, when I applied it to my wife's car, so easy to use. Again, I love the slickness and gloss of it. So yeah, I'm gonna be, and anybody that has concerns with that, I'll be like, I monitor the car every week. It's not an issue. And like you said, and to be perfectly honest, this customer, the car's gonna, in 2 years time, the car's gonna have 500 miles on it. Like, he does not take them out. So there's no issue there, but it's something I can monitor and reapply as needed. Like you said, it's at that price, like the value is unmatched. Like it's insane. So especially with the properties that we're getting out of the coating and the, again, for me, how easy it is to use, because there's nothing worse than using a coating that is super sticky when you're trying to wipe it off, or for me, especially on some of the ones that I've used with rainbowing, it'll transfer on. I'll do one panel, wipe it up, go to the next panel, wipe it up, and I'll cross over to the panel that I already did, and it'll kind of transfer some over, and then I have to go back again. So yeah, the sweating is so easy to work with that I'm very, very excited to put this on his car, and I know he'll be pumped with it because of how it's going to look afterwards, and then all the performance metrics as well.
So you just hit on something really important, is that your interaction with that customer is going to be different than another customer. So his expectations is that this needs to look as glossy as possible, and it's going to sit, right? And that's different than someone who says, you know, I have a work truck, I want it to look great when I pull up in front of a client, but you know, I'm in the trades, so I'm a plumber, you know, whatever. I want it to look great, but I use it. And so, you know, when you're having that conversation, it's a different conversation. And your job is, hey, I want to set the right expectations for both of these customers. So that's a really good distinction right there.
Yeah, definitely. And just to clarify on that too, just because the other customer is going to be constantly out and all that kind of stuff, I just want to make it clear for everybody. We're not talking about the durability being, oh, it's not good enough to be outside, anything like that. It's more so being realistic in the world and just educating your customer, the end consumer, that like some of these claims out there have just gotten crazy, and we're not doing that. We're going to give you the real world kind of like, this is what to expect. It's going to give you insane levels of gloss, insane levels of, you know, ease of clean because the hydrophobic properties and all that kind of good stuff. And just kind of communicate that way. I just want to make sure that people don't misconstrue that as like, oh, since it's going into a garage, we don't have to worry about that. But versus a guy that's going to be out working, the same product's can go on both those cars. You just may have to communicate a little bit differently with the consumer.
Absolutely, and if it's okay, you know, we have something up here that is special in our testing, and you saw how we do this. This is what we call the blind test. So the way our organization is structured, our polymer manufacturing division is different than our quality control, which is different than research and development. It's different than our training department. I think we have about 9 trainers on staff. You know, we train companies all over the world, and we have been doing that for many, many years, decades. So when R&D is given a project and they produce R&D batches, okay, coming from, you know, small scale reactor, and we produce a product, we go to the internet just like everyone else, and we look. You know, the internet is an interesting place. You're going to find 100 people saying 100 products are number one, and so we collect every single product that anyone has remotely said anything good about. Some of them, you know, containing our technology, and we have what we call the blind test. So we take hoods and we coat them, and we have a group inside and we have a group outside of the company, and basically we don't know which product's which. We don't know which one's ours, which one is a competitive product, and everybody gets a scorecard, and we have one rule, which is no talking. So we go through, we, you know, feel the products, we wash them, we you know, try to dry them with water, blow them off, scrub them, slide things down, and we have a variety of tests, and everybody ranks the products, and then we flip cards over, and we do this every week. We test whether it's glass coatings, paint coatings, until we will not bring a product out until we are the obvious choice time after time after time. So when I'm talking durability, don't think that because I'm not saying that this is resistant to lighter fluid doesn't mean that this isn't the most durable coating in the market, because I don't want to mention names because there's a lot of great brands out there, but this product has been tested in wash durability up against everything. And I'm very confident that if your viewers try this, one, try it for free, nothing to lose, they're gonna they're gonna be impressed. We put a lot of work into this, a lot of years.
Well, yeah, I actually got to join you guys in one of those blind tests, which was fun when I was up there. So
I remember that now, yes.
Yeah. So the inorganic polymer that you, a plant that you have. So just on the coating side, you always hear, like, I think it's pretty synonymous, ceramic and SiO2. Then you also hear some coatings using like polysilazane. Is polysilazane and SiO2, are those completely different things? Like,
they're completely different. So the spectrum of what's defined as a ceramic is pretty wide. I mean, you can get glass and figure out how to define that as a ceramic. You can get a lot of materials. So the inorganic polymers that we produce in the plant And you know, we are proud of our plant because we're a small company that's grown into a bigger company, and we've invested about $15 million into that plant. And that is a lot of hard-earned reinvestment. We love American manufacturing. We love reinvestment. We love competition. So the inorganic polymers that we manufacture here are exclusive to us, and that is why you do not see a lot of products on the market that have the performance of our products. That's why we have 3 #1 bestsellers, you know, headlight trim and rapid ceramic paint. And this Pro paint is next in line. I mean, it's brand new, but you've seen the reviews coming back. They are glowing.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. On application, although not recommended, can it be applied in direct sunlight if the panel is not hot?
Okay, so I'm really OCD on this just personally. I don't believe you should do any kind of car care in direct sunlight. We absolutely recommend to not do this in direct sunlight. You know, it's just not good practice to do, you know, washing, any kind of application, especially black paint. Black paint heats up so quick in direct sunlight. It's shocking.
It really is. Yeah. It just holds all that heat. Yeah. During the summer, man.
Yes.
Or even windshield. Sometimes when I'm doing a windshield, I'm going across. You know, I'll do the bend over. I'm doing the front of the windshield, and if I slip off or hit the side, you almost get a burn. You know, it gets really, really hot.
Right.
So, you know, as a mobile detailer, sometimes you get a customer that's at work and they're in a parking garage and they're parked up top and we can't move it. We have to deal with it. So that's where that question comes from. Somebody asked that.
It's a really good question.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, just rule of thumb, get it into the shade, get it out of direct sunlight. Apply.
Cool panels. Perfect. That's what you want.
Cool panel.
And that's with any.
Yeah, definitely.
Any product, really. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Talking about the rapid ceramic, again, you guys mentioned you don't need a topper, but can rapid ceramic be used as a maintenance product, kind of a sacrificial layer to the ceramic coating, so that it's taking some of the brunt and kind of helping elongate the performance of it?
Yeah, so short answer, yes, they're absolutely compatible. And the long answer is, you know, I grew up detailing cars where you wash the car, you dry it, and then you put like a quick detailer on it, right? Spray and wax type of thing. And it's almost a ritual, right? This is just part of what we do.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's some people that is the routine on the weekend is, you know, we wash, we dry, and we put some kind of top coat on it. And so I don't want to talk people out of that. If you put our rapid ceramic over the Pro paint, it's ridiculously slick. It's even glossier. But I don't want your viewers to think you need to. You don't need to.
Gotcha.
It's an incredible product without any top coats. But if it's part of your weekend ritual, go for it. It's only going to take your level of OCD detailing to the next level. Can get a bit addictive, and so completely compatible, not necessary, but not a bad idea either.
But can be. Okay, perfect. And then, so with this question, so how does it compare to rapid ceramic? Is the active ingredient basically kind of the same thing, just a higher concentration in the Pro coating?
Right. So they are different. Now, I want to clarify. Rapid ceramic is water based. The professional Cerakote, you know, paint coating is solvent based. I don't want people to think that just because a product's water based means it's not a good product, because there's a lot of good products that are water based. So with the rapid ceramic, we wanted to create a product that had professional results, that was developed with the polymers from our plant, but that could be sold to a retail customer. They would have incredible results, and the ability to not have a bad experience with streaking, with any of those things. So the expectation is about 3 to 6 months, but I mean, you're not going to find a glossier, slicker product. It's ridiculous. But I don't want people to think just because you can buy it at retail doesn't mean that it's not a professional product. It is absolutely a professional product. In fact, we have taken products that cost $49 for a quick detailer and put them in unlabeled bottles against ours. And with guys just like you, like professional guys that have come to our place, we say, okay, here's 2 products. We're not going to tell you which one's $15 and which one's $50, and they use them, and every time they pick our product, every time.
Yeah.
And the price point is not always indicative of the performance. So the reason, again, that we're positioning Rapid Ceramic at a retail price point is we realize there's a lot of car enthusiasts out there that maybe it's not in their budget to buy $50 paint sealants, and depending on the retailer you go to, we're in every single Walmart, every single Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware. You can go and get that Rapid Ceramic for under $20, and it's the best selling for a reason. It works extremely well.
Now, just with that, and how easy that product is to apply as well, right? After every wash, you can use it, right? What would make somebody? What are the key performance differences there? So why would somebody go with the pro coating versus just applying that every time after a wash?
Strictly durability. I mean, so
Durability, cool.
right. So if you want, if you're taking your car to a professional detailer, obviously you're going to get paint correction that's at a professional level. The pro coating is going to lock that correction in, and your maintenance. You've seen the video where we just dry with water, and that is a huge time saver. If you can dry with water and then the remaining water you just blow off, and the gloss is insane. So you really have reduced your maintenance, and you've got a great looking vehicle. Rapid Ceramic, it's something you're going to have to do a little more often, but again, months in between.
Sure.
So it's not a every wash product unless you want it to be, but certainly you don't have to.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. A question that came in was best way to maintain the coating. Just stick to pH neutral products, pH neutral soap. If you need to do some sort of decontamination, even iron removers are typically pH neutral as well. Just kind of the best thing.
Yeah, and I'm gonna, just holistically recommend if you can use pH neutral products, it's a win for your entire car. So on the exterior of a car, you have anodized parts sometimes. You have different types of plating that are not always really durable, and whenever you're using a caustic, chemical on your car, it's kind of hurting everything. So if you can use
run that risk for sure.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that there's not products out there that do a job that they're intended to do, but if you're just washing your car and you don't have one of those unique situations, use a pH neutral soap. And obviously there's a lot of good ones out there.
Got it. Very good. Just really one more question that someone brought in, and it was actually, I guess you can break this into two. Is a full line of pro detailing products a possibility in the future? And then the secondary, the add-on that somebody else asked as well, that I think is in the same realm. But is there anything for 2024 that we can look forward to from Cerakote that you can announce and talk about at all?
So I can't announce anything right now. We're going to be announcing something soon. We're really focused on the professional paint coating right now, making sure that, again, we're going to give out hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of that product to detailers because we want them to see if this is a product that they want to have in their shop. After that, we do have products lined up, but we will not release a product unless we can prove that it's best in class. And so, I'm going to tell you that we have, multiple products in R&D, and you're going to see one very soon. And that's a product we're really proud of, but we've been working on for more than 2 years. And, there's so many products in this space that Cerakotes, our promise to customers is that we may not have every product right now, but when we do bring out a new product, you can count on it having that Cerakote level of performance. And I do want to mention our tech service is second to none. Our training department and tech service, these are guys that use the products, train on them every week. And so if you have any issues and you call us, we pick up the phone. You don't go through a menu.
Yep.
We pick up the phone, and if you see our reviews, you'll see people shocked. I called them, and a real person picked up right away. And actually, it was a user and trainer of this product. So we also want to make sure when we bring out a new product that we have the training staff to be there ready to support it when it comes out.
Very good. Yeah, that's one of those things, man, that I feel like it's sad that that's not a common thing anymore. You know, I feel like you guys are really kind of like old school 60s America, where it's like everyone, you were proud that something was made in the US, and I feel like you guys treat your whole business that way.
It's a philosophy. When we get in our leadership meetings, we oftentimes bring up what are experiences that we're having as consumers that we never want our customers to have. And although no company is perfect, we're all, we're trying to always get better and better. That's one of them is when you call a company, you're calling for a reason. You're generally not calling for no reason. So you want to talk to someone, and you want someone, ultimately people buy from a company that does two things. It solves their problem and they trust. And so we always go back to two things. Are we solving our customer's problem, and can they trust us? And we always need to be able to answer yes to that.
And one last thing, so obviously the product can be used paint, wheels, glass. And then what about on trim? So I know you guys have Cerakote, the trim coat, which is more restorative product, right? When it's products oxidized, it's incredible stuff. But say someone has a brand new car, are they able to put that on the trim or no?
You can. So glass, it's going to work really well on. And for your detailers out there that are polishing glass, if you polish the glass, clean it, and then apply this, it's incredible. That's a really good experience that customers will notice, especially in an area where you're getting a lot of rain and using your wipers. Trim on new cars is, it's looking good. I'm not going to say put it on the trim and expect anything because it's already looking good. When your trim is starting to show aging, which unfortunately happens fairly soon if your car's being parked outside, our trim coat is phenomenal. And once
it absolutely is.
Once you restore your trim, again, we guarantee that for 200 washes. That's a great product.
Absolutely,
yeah. Wheels, glass,
Okay, awesome, perfect. Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of communicate to people that may be watching this?
No, I just, I want to thank you for having me on. We don't do a lot of these things, but this was a great opportunity. I think your video at the time, I saw like almost 1,000 comments on questions, and so it's really good. I do want to let your viewers know, our marketing department, we are highly engaged when people make comments, and so we listen. If you're seeing something you love or don't like, we read a lot of comments and we talk about those in our leadership meetings, so that doesn't go in a dark hole. We're listening, so really appreciate it. Really appreciate just the focus on the market and your customers. Speaking to detailers. So thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, I'm so happy to do this because I wanted to. Again, that one video came out. I wanted to address that because of how you guys have treated me in the past. Of like, it wasn't the same kind of video, but I had a result that I didn't expect, and you guys reached out and like, really, I can't. There's like, I have a lot of respect for the brand for sure, and everyone that works there. I think you guys do an amazing job.
Yeah. So absolutely, thank you very much.
And our doors are open. We have customers here every day of the week. I know we're in Oregon, which is, not the closest to a lot of people, but you probably remember when you were here, we had a lot of training classes going on, so we constantly have professional companies in here. So we have a really open door policy for people that want to see what we're doing.
And that's something also to bring up is you talk about the training facilities. That's more so on the industrial grade product. So people may ask, are you guys going to offer training for the pro coatings, or is there going to be any certification program or anything like that? For me, I don't think it's needed. It's so easy to use. So I don't think that there's that. And then as far as like the polishing, all that kind of stuff, that's not necessarily specific to any sort of coating brand, right? That's just something that the detailers do. We know how to polish paint. So is that anything that you guys have thought about doing, or just?
Yeah, to agree with you on that, we're not a paint correction company. And we're a coatings manufacturer, so paint correction, there are so many good products for paint correction, and that is a skill in of itself. We take it from once the paint's corrected, and you're right, our products are very easy to use. On the Cerakote side, the industrial side, we do have over 1,000 certified applicators around the world, and that is a world-class training program. We have training facilities in North Carolina, Michigan, Canada, UK, Australia, Germany. So you can get trained on our industrial products in all those locations. We don't have an automotive training program. I'll tell you, we're talking about it. We don't want to do anything that we can't fully support, but that's also part of the conversation is it really needed? Because that's a barrier to entry for some really good businesses where you say, look, you can't use our product unless you fly to Oregon and go through this training. Is that really needed? And so we're right now, we're in the process of debating that because, I once was a very young person starting out, and, getting into business is difficult, staying in business is difficult. And so there's some great detailers out there that probably couldn't afford to fly out here, and we don't want to put barriers in front of them. Ultimately, the quality of their work and the customer service, their customers will judge them. Getting a piece of paper from us does not mean a lot. So we want to provide as much training as we can online and give them access to the products and let their customers decide if they're a good business.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something, again, that I think a lot of people may not know is some of those coating brands where someone wants to get certified, but maybe they're in a certain mile radius where someone else is already there, and a lot of those brands will sell a franchise territory essentially to those. And the products may be good, but at the same time, a lot of it is just there's a lot of marketing support behind it. And again, those numbers of longevity that seem to be pretty, misleading, I guess is probably the best way to say it.
And just to touch on this, if you're a certified Cerakote applicator, which again, to distinguish the two, that is an industrial spray-on product. Yeah. You do, training and certification is a big part of that, but that's there's a lot more to that. You've got media blasting, degreasing, oven curing. There's a lot to that. We spend millions of dollars every year marketing and driving end users to our certified network. And they don't pay for that. That is, if we're doing a good job marketing and they're a great applicator, guess what? They're going to buy more product from us. So us marketing them is part of that, but we really believe in free market competition. So we don't sell regions or areas, because ultimately, again, in your community, quality customer service, make yourself the obvious choice, and people are going to flock to you. Right. Yeah.
Yep, totally agree. Well, thank you so much for your time, man. I know we're in the holiday season too. I'm sure I think we're on the same time zone, right?
We are, yes.
Yeah, okay, so it's getting closer to the end of the day at least. So, but yeah, thank you so much for your time. Anybody that is watching the video, feel free to comment down below. Obviously, they will be reading the comments as well, so your questions will not go unaddressed, essentially. So make sure to do that. And again, Brian, thank you so much for your time, man. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So there it is. There's the conversation that I had. I hope that I answered everyone's questions, or that we addressed those questions. I had more questions to ask, but those questions already got answered because he was awesome and went into depth with each question that I asked, and so he covered some of the other questions. So I didn't ask those afterwards because we already had the answers. But again, guys, I love Cerakote. When they invited me up there, their whole facility is unbelievable. Everyone that works there is salt of the earth, super, super nice people. So that's it. Take it for what it is, guys. I will be doing more and more testing. Again, this vehicle here is my buddy's car. I'm applying the Cerakote coating to this as well. His car stays outside all the time. So I wanted to have that as a reference point. as well as our personal cars, but our personal cars get parked inside a lot. So this one's always outside, so we'll be able to test it over time. But that's it for today's video, guys. Please make sure to like the video, make sure you're subscribed, turn on that notification bell, and we will see you on the next one.